what I can't explain is the officer put
I'm not working on hunches here, man. Then write a better report. Too bad, so sad.
The person was videotaping, doing a form of harassment.
My concern was also safety, that I did not want them to ambush me. So, because it's had.
Judges often leave police officers off the hook due to massive union pressures, but not David Fleischer. Just look at this first case, where a man was charged with DUI, but the officer made a stupid mistake in his report.
Rear-end accident on 59. Gonna take it ahead. He does a good prior. Any prior DWIs?
I don't believe he's got any priors of any kind.
No. Good morning, Mr. Lozano. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 7, 2025, at approximately 10:08 p.m., the officer was dispatched to a major crash on the 200 block of South US 50 freeway in Harris County, Texas. The officer met with other officers at the nearby gas station where they had moved the scene. The rear witness stated she was rear-ended by the defendant and was able to put the defendant behind the wheel of the vehicle. The officer observed front-end damage to the defendant's vehicle, and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver, and occupant of the vehicle. The officer observed slurred speech, staggering, and disorientation and confusion. The standard fields of writings were conducted, HGN 4 out of 6, walk and turn 4 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant stated he did not drink any alcohol that day, and the defendant was read the DIC and refused to provide a breath specimen. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
Williams? The judge sounds like there's no probable cause because US 50 is not in Harris County, Texas. It's what the road they said it happened on.
Where is it?
It said US 50. That's not in Harris County.
And the DIMS does say 200 block of South US.
Are you serious? Do I need to look it up? I don't know.
Your Honor, the DIMS further says, during the scene of the accident, which occurred on 200 block of South US 59 freeway, Harris County, Texas. But counsel is correct that before they said he responded to a major crash call for service on the 200 block of South US 50 freeway. So they put 50, but then later in the DIMS, they just put 59.
Right.
So they're just two addresses, so I don't know why that's there. But they did say the accident occurred on US 59.
The cop put in 2 different addresses. The report and the findings mean nothing if they can't even get the location of the crime right.
Do you have any other evidence that is pointing to that it's at 59 or is it 50?
So, Your Honor, the only thing we have is that statement from the officer, which states that the accident occurred on 200 block of US 59 in Houston, Texas 77004.
Is that what really happened or was it on 50?
So that's what I can explain is the officer put.
I'm not working on hunches here, man.
And I understand, Your Honor. The officer initially said he responded to a crash call for service, which occurred on US 50, but then later said the accident occurred on 59. So let me see if we
definitively point it is.
I'll check the OR and see if they clarify in the complete OR. And in the OR as well, the officer says, which occurred on 200 block of US 50, Houston, Texas 77004.
So is 50? It's not in Harris County.
He switches between 50 and 59 in the offense report, Chief.
I know.
Yes, Judge, and we understand.
All right, Joe.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Lozano, be careful out there. You know what I mean? Really. Just listen to. He's great. He'll help you out whenever you need. You know. All right, man. Good luck.
Thank you, Judge. All right, I'll meet you in the hallway. Okay.
In the end, the suspect was let go, and the cop was shamed by the judge for his incompetency. If you don't want to be yelled at by Judge David, make sure to like and subscribe. Something else Judge David Fleischer is hard on is racism, and that's what was going on in this next case.
Judge, I'm here on docket for Mr. Nathan Rhea, Judge. I'm seeing if you'll revisit probable cause in this case.
You said Rhea?
Yes, sir. RHEA, Judge.
Okay. Is it on docket today?
Yes, Judge, it's my understanding.
Jail, maybe jail docket. I see. Yeah, it's jail docket.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right, ready?
Yes, Judge.
Go for it.
So on December 29th, 2024, the officer observed the defendant's vehicle traveling 91 miles per hour in the 50-mile-per-hour zone. A traffic stop was initiated, and the officer observed the driver leaning over the console, trying to conceal something next to the console in the front passenger seat. The driver and the passenger did not see the officer as he was standing near the driver window, where the officer observed the driver have his hand between the front seat and the center console. The officer ordered the occupants out of the vehicle and observed a plastic bag containing a green leafy substance with an odor of marijuana as the front passenger exited. And the front passenger immediately took off running, and the defendant, the driver of the vehicle, stated he only knew the passenger to be named Junior. The weight of the marijuana was 0.3915 ounces.
Judge, looking at the totality of the circumstances, the state has not been able to allege enough probable cause that my client knew or intended that there was marijuana in his possession. I understand that the allegations say that there was some type of furtive movement, but my client yielded to law enforcement show of authority, and then gave law enforcement his identification. The passenger ends up leaving law enforcement. He stays there, and again, there's not enough to establish that he knew or intended that there was weed in his car. The allegations also don't, pinpoint where the marijuana actually was. So this was unbeknownst to my client, Judge.
So he comes up, officer comes up to the car, and he sees him trying to conceal.
Yes.
Right?
I don't think that, I believe the allegations say that that's what the officer maybe seems to believe, but after further review, there's nothing that says that's definitive or that that's even probable cause. For all we know, he was rummaging around to give him his ID, which he did. That's why he got picked up.
No, but he says he's got a plastic bag and he's trying to put a plastic bag behind the console.
Yes, Your Honor, they found his hand between the front seat and the center console. They observed his hand in between the console.
There was a plastic bag too?
It says that they observed a plastic bag containing the green leafy substance. Yes, Your Honor. And that was after the passenger exited. So when they walked up, they saw him with his hand in between the console and the front seat, where they observed him trying to conceal something.
So, Judge, in the DIMS, it says, quote, as the front seat passenger exited the vehicle with his hands up, I saw a plastic bag containing a green leafy substance. The way I'm reading that, Judge, is that's more attributable to the passenger and the alleged marijuana that was near his person than it was my client.
The officer tried to say that the green leafy substance he found was the passenger's and not the driver's, but the defense easily busts this claim.
Again, the rummaging around, Judge, I don't think there's enough of a nexus to establish that. My client yielded to law enforcement's show of authority. He gave law enforcement his ID. While he's standing there submitting to law enforcement's show of authority, the guy with his hands up with the marijuana that's around him leaves. So if anything, this should be attributable to the passenger.
Saying that the weed is the passenger's client, not your client. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and based on the allegations, Judge, there's not enough probable cause that attributes my client knew or intended that marijuana was in his possession, when everything just as much points to someone who ran away from the cops.
Hit the DIMS again, and then who is the one who's allegedly hiding things? Is it?
It's the driver, Your Honor, which is the defendant.
Right.
The officer said the officer observed the driver have his hand between the front seat and the center console, and previously...
Okay, wait. So between the front seat
in the center console, and the officer said, I observed the driver leaning over the console trying to conceal something next to the console and front seat passenger, and that's where he observed his hand in the front seat, between the front seat passenger and the console. So the officer observed him trying to conceal something, and all the DIM says in regard to the passenger and the marijuana is that as the front seat passenger exited the vehicle with his hands up, I saw a plastic bag containing a green leafy substance smelling of marijuana. It doesn't say anything in regard to it being solely in the passenger's area, because it said previously he was trying to conceal something.
Again, so my apologies, Counsel. Judge, if I may.
He's actively trying to conceal a plastic bag?
Your Honor, so with this situation, when we were briefly speaking, allegedly this driver and passenger don't know each other, but then in this situation, should this person, the defendant, be pulled over for speeding, one would think he'd keep his hands 10 and 2 and not be trying to conceal something, so that's where we're at. And if you didn't know the passenger, didn't know that they had the marijuana, didn't know anything about the marijuana, why are you concealing? Why aren't you keeping your hands at 10 and 2?
Judge, anytime somebody's driving, again, I think there's a reasonable inference that goes just as much to my client was trying to go through his belongings, give law enforcement the correct identification so that he could submit to law enforcement show of authority. Again, just because it says concealed doesn't mean that there's enough allegations to actually substantiate that anything was concealed.
David looks for facts. He doesn't side with one party throughout the case. That's what makes him a non-biased judge in a corrupt cop's worst nightmare.
I understand that my client was speeding, Judge. My issue, though, is that they're saying that the front seat passenger is getting out of the vehicle and then he sees weed as the front seat passenger gets out. My client is already.
So who do they both have weed? Is that what happened here? Do they both end up with?
My understanding, Judge, is that there's enough probable cause that actually goes toward the passenger being in possession of the
Did they find weed where he was trying to conceal whatever he was trying to allegedly conceal?
The allegations are not clear about that, Judge, which is why.
Admittedly, they are not clear about that because all it says is that as the front seat passenger exited, they observed the plastic bags. But previously, they didn't say.
Where?
It does not say, Your Honor.
That sucks. Then write a better report.
It does, but they did say that I'm concealing something.
I need to know, where is the weed in the front seat passenger?
All right, there are enough affirmative links still because he's the operator of the vehicle and is within his wingspan, and they saw the previous furtive movements being made to draw the inference from knowledge. So there's enough affirmative links between him and the contraband for a probable cause.
I don't work on hunches.
It's not a hunches
here. I mean, it's not that hard to write in the report. Well, I saw weed where I found his furtive movements. You know?
Yes, Your Honor. They didn't clarify that, but they did see him concealing.
Then, too bad, so sad. Sorry.
I will say, Your Honor, this did just happen 2 days ago. If we could wait to get the offense report, maybe he articulated it
No,
more.
I mean, he's in custody. I don't want to wait 2 days because he's in custody. If he was on bond, perhaps, but he's in custody. He's in jail just sitting there, you know? I'm with you. Okay.
Thank you, Judge Fletcher.
Judge David eventually sided with the defense. This next one shows how a mistake was pinned as a crime on an innocent civilian.
Mr. Perez, you're charged with criminal mischief. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and up to 6 months in jail and/or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
On August 23rd of 2024, officers were dispatched to a Chevron gas station in Harris County, Texas, in reference to criminal mischief. Officers made contact with the complaining witness, who stated that the defendant was at pump 2 and complained that his card was not working. The complaining witness stated he went outside with the defendant and saw that 25 cents had been pumped, then the transaction was canceled. CW told the defendant that he would have to use the card again to start another transaction. The defendant became irritated and the complaining witness made his way back into the store. The defendant followed him into the store, asked for $30 on pump 2, went out to his motor vehicle and began to pump gas. The defendant entered the motor vehicle with the pump still attached. $30 had been completed on the pump, then the defendant left without attempting to remove the pump, causing the pump and the hose to be separated from the in-ground meter. There were $500 in damages.
Without getting too deep into the specifics, the judge asks an extremely important question.
Did he mean to do it or was it an accident? Because remember, this is a specific intent crime. You didn't tell me anything that he's like upset to where he intentionally took off with the device.
I understand, Judge.
You know?
I'm just reading based on like the offense report. It says the complaining witness did not see him even attempt to remove the pump.
I know, but people forget. You know, you're busy, you get this, like, you know, accidents happen, right? But if you're telling me that he's like flipping it off, giving him the bird, yelling at him, and then but I don't see the intent.
I pulled up the offense report.
There's no rush, take your time. And if you want, we can come back and do this a little bit later so we can do everything else and then give you more time. You want to do that?
Judge, and I don't see that.
So, as we all know, criminal mischief is a specific intent crime, right? The facts, as we read this criminal mischief, I don't see intent. I may be wrong, but what I see is that I have a gentleman, he gets kind of frustrated that the thing is not working correctly. I guess the pump. So he goes in, pays $30 for prepaid gas, goes out, pumps the gas, and takes off. And I guess in thereby ripping the thing. But is it a mistake? Did he specifically intend to do that? You tell me. What do you?
One moment, Judge.
Take your time. The way I read it, I thought it was a mistake.
Judge, I don't see anything per the DIMS nor the offense report that connects specific intent to this defendant.
What was it again? What was your last name again?
Perez, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Perez, I'm gonna find that there's no probable cause to go forward with the case. Understand that this means that I just didn't think that there was intent to rise up for a crime. Whether they come after you still for that, who knows? But
Following dismissal, Judge.
thanks. If you want to go ahead, well, they're gonna dismiss the case now, so you're free to go. Okay.
The criminals get punished, and no innocent gets wrongfully thrown in jail, all because one judge stands his ground. On January 12, 2022, Officer George of the Manalapan Police Department allegedly harassed and violated the rights of YouTuber Palm Beach Free Press, but his actions wouldn't go unchallenged for long.
10-4, the person was videotaping, doing a form of harassment. Just videotaping me. A standby.
Hello? He's gonna just be quiet and not pay attention to me. I have a question. He's doing a good job at ignoring me. Like, do I tap on the window like a fishbowl? Tap, 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 tap. Is anybody in there?
But when he was interviewed by internal investigations, that's when his lies could not save him.
We're here because of a situation that happened.
This was on Sunday afternoon. Ballpark time was probably approximately noon to 1 o'clock.
About noon to 1 o'clock last Sunday. So, tell me what happened.
Sure. So I was parked on the beach with my PWC, personal watercraft vessel, and I was hanging out next to my friends. They were skimboarding, talking to them, and I saw Manalapan PD Officer George walk over to my vessel, and he was using his radio frequency near my vessel, clearly looking for the vessel owner or looking for me. So I walked over to him, and he walks up and he says, "Hello, are you a citizen?" And my response back to Officer George was, "Yes, but I don't have to answer that question. Are you a citizen?" And then Officer George proceeded to let me know that I shouldn't ask law enforcement officers if they are a citizen.
Okay, on September 18, 2022, did you make contact with a white male located on Manalapan Beach in reference to a jet ski?
Yes.
Why did you make contact?
The jet ski was there in front of a bunch of swimmers. I thought it was abandoned, so I did not know. I didn't see anyone near it. I saw a family of 4, 2 children, mother and father, and I just asked if it was their jet ski, but they said no. And I just wanted to know where the jet ski owner was and if they were close to the vessel or if it was abandoned. So I put over the radio saying that it was abandoned and until I could find a contact and make contact with the owner.
So you put over the radio and then what happened?
So I went looking around, but one person said it could be the male. So I went over there to go and make contact with him. So as I went over there to make contact with him, he had some type of stance that he's about to fight me, but
Not only did he answer a stupid question, it felt like whatever he said was a threat to this fragile ego-having cop.
Get on the radio and ask for backup?
no, because he did not come off as a threatening way.
Immunity from giving a compelled administrative statement does not extend to perjury or untruthfulness, and as such, may subject you to both criminal prosecution as a felony under Florida State Statute 83702, perjury in official proceeding.
I said something to get him off track. So I said to him, was, hey, are you a citizen? And he's like, yeah. And then his buddies also got distracted by the statement I said as well. So my concern was officer safety, that I did not want them to ambush me. So, because it's had prior situations that on the beach that if I'm not watching what's going on, someone could ambush me, or I've had people try to throw stuff while I'm operating an ATV. So I said something like that, which I didn't think was offensive or anything like that in any shape or manner. And just so I could get him off his toes, because it's not something so this way. But then I asked him, hey, can you, my name is Officer George, can you, I just want to talk to you for a bit, consensual. But the thing is that I didn't want, my back was against the wall. The thing was that...
I'm lost. You say your back was against a wall. What wall is on the beach?
Well, with, what is it, that wall, it's not really a wall, but there were less people on that side.
So I'm not understanding. So your back was against the wall.
No.
Are you mean literally back? Your back was against the wall? Is it a figure of speech?
Figure of speech.
So you felt your back was against the wall because of what?
Because there was less swimmers, so less people on that. The kids always hang out on top by the pump house.
And that was a very belittling conversation to start to begin with.
What happened after you explained stuff to him?
He wanted to know the state statute, and I said to him, I don't know the state statute off my head, but if you could Google it. So I started trying to explain to him, this is safety.
And I just want to make sure was there anyone on the jet ski at the time? Did you see the jet ski, someone on the jet ski actually operating the jet ski in the water close to swimmers?
Yes. No.
You observed that?
When he got on and left, yes.
I'm saying, okay, prior,
No.
you got on the beach, did you observe him on the jet ski close to swimmers, operating that jet ski close to the swimmers?
No, not operating. The jet ski was
Did you observe him in a reckless manner on that jet ski close to swimmers?
After he left. Not a reckless man, but he was safe. He was getting out.
My question is this. At any time, had you saw him operating that vessel in a reckless manner prior to you seeing that jet ski on the beach?
He brought up the immigration issue. He said, hey, we've had a lot of issues with abandoned boats and immigration all along the beach here. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. I said, yes, I am aware of it. He said, so for that reason, you can't have your vessel parked here. He mentioned the words FWC, Homeland Security, and U.S. Coast Guard of it being a them issue and not really a Manalapan issue, and that was even more concerning. Is Manalapan enforcing something that's more of an immigration issue, if this is truly an immigration situation? From that note, I remember bringing up the issue of safety versus a law. So he said, well, you can't be here because people are swimming here. And I was like, well, is there an ordinance? Is there a statute? Is there anything regarding this whatsoever that I can see? Whether you give me a statute number, whether you look it up, whether you radio an officer, whether you pull your laptop out, whether you find something somewhere in order to inform me as a citizen. If I'm not aware of the law, I'd like to be aware of the law. And his response to that was, you can Google it on your own time.
Turning off your body cam should be illegal. That's how cops get away with their shady business.
Was your BWC activated?
No, because I wanted to have it as consensual. I didn't think it would need to be activated. It was consensual. I didn't need.
Okay. Do you understand that once you're quoting law and you're telling someone it's a state statute and they pretty much can get in trouble for it, do you understand once you're speaking of an incident, you've called it on the radio, and again, it's no longer a consensual encounter, and per policy that BWC was supposed to be on? Also, where was your BWC at the time of contact? Because The complaint advised that you didn't even have it on your person, that he looked and saw the
BWC charge. Yeah, it was in the park charge.
prior to patrol. Did you check your BWC?
Yeah, see what check.
Okay, and did you advise that it wasn't working, wasn't charged?
No, it was charged when I started shift, but as the shift goes on, it depletes batteries. And
What time did you start shift?
7 in the morning.
7 in the morning. What time did this call come on? What time did you make contact with him?
12, like around 12, around 12.
So you're informing me currently that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, within 5 hours of your shift, that your BWC battery just goes dead. Have you informed anyone that 5 hours in your shift that your BWC battery goes dead?
Yeah, Larry before, yeah, because he told me at the show when we started, I
Do
charged.
you have documentation of that? Is there an ordinance in the town saying that any personal watercrafts cannot be in that fashion of how you found that jet ski?
No, there's no ordinance on that.
Stating that they,
Yeah,
state law, state statute, state law,
Yeah.
saying that they cannot, that it's actually against the law to have your watercraft on the sand. And you're telling me it's 327-4109.
Yeah. But afterwards, after I talked to my sergeant, he's saying no, and it was misinterpreted.
He did say you can Google it, was his exact verbs. I remember that like it was yesterday because that was probably the most harsh point of the interaction. I asked an exact question of, is there a Manalapan ordinance? Is there a Florida statute? Is there something that I'm missing here? Is there a Palm Beach County? Did something change? And his response to me was, you can Google it on your own time.
Did you ever tell him just Google the state statute? Okay, but during the time of contact, you couldn't provide him with it.
Yeah, at that time.
But you were quoting that law to him, but you couldn't provide him the
I couldn't give him the exact
full information.
Yeah, but I knew on the top of my head that what it was. I don't want to give the wrong information. So I said to him, if you could Google it, which I do. I Google things, and I didn't think that was, offensive or anything. So I just figured, if I don't know something, I Google it, or I YouTube it, or I figure it out.
Is it a common practice of you to, when you don't know law, you Google it? You just Google?
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, are you aware that there's a Florida state statute book that you need to go to and you should be going to?
So that's what I use. I use Google as a search engine to get to that site.
Okay, per Empower DMS, you have the Florida state statutes.
Yeah.
That's published by PBSO. Anything that's on the internet is not actual factual.
No, that's what, yeah, that's what I meant.
So a better resource would be what?
Just use Florida State statute.
Versus what? Versus what?
Google.
Thank you.
Yes.
I tell somebody to Google something, I'm telling them I don't want to deal with it, it's not my problem, figure it out on your own time. In other words, kick rocks. I'm not here to help you, I'm here to enforce said law that didn't exist, unfortunately.
Okay, did you ever ask him if he was a citizen?
Yeah.
And exactly why did you ask him, was he a citizen?
The reason why I asked them was that it's something that no one would ever say, but a lot of people would ask, what's your nationality, what is your background? People think that's offensive, and, I didn't think, the people outside figured it wasn't offensive, but it's something you won't ask someone, but it's able to get you off your feet, to make you think, so that, meaning that he won't be able to predetermine or, have something in mind. So it's to get him off his feet.
So is that a question you ask on a regular basis when you make contact with individuals?
If it only because of the voting of that situation, because in the past that we had prior situations of people coming on,
I don't understand.
because of people coming from boats and stuff. So that's the only reason why I just, because I know it won't be a common thing, but if that person.
You said people coming on boats and stuff, I mean, you got it flat out.
Meaning like, something to do with, how do I say it? That we had like situations that like people coming as like illegal immigrants coming onto a boat and coming in. So the thing is that, it's from that situation, that's the only reason why I brought that up, to get him on his feet.
Did you ever tell him he should never ask an officer if they're a citizen?
No, the way I said it is like, you shouldn't ask someone that an officer, because most police officers have to be U.S. citizens. So that's why I explained that to him.
Explain that to him. So you never told him you shouldn't ask police officers if there are citizens?
No, I told him that you should never encounter the way. I don't know how to explain it to him. I did say something similar to that, yes.
What did you say? Do you remember exactly? Do you recall what you said?
I said that you shouldn't ask the police officer or anyone in government. The way I said it was like, I said something similar to that type of word.
I asked the question directly to Chief. I said, can I park my vessel on can I park my PWC on Manalapan Beach? And his answer to me was yes, anywhere in Manalapan you are allowed to park your vessel.
George was ultimately fired for his unprofessional and irrational behavior, and good riddance. And that's how these dirty cops learned one thing: the courtroom plays by different rules. Thanks for watching.